Yes, I think our
Sir has joined, sir.
Yes.
yes. Dr. Ramaraj, am I audible, sir? If you kindly unmute your voice, sir, so that we can listen. Kindly unmute your voice. Yes.
Yeah, sorry, my
Dr. Latif, who is the course director. So myself, Shiraz. Thank you very much, sir, for joining this evening session with us. We have a good diversity of participants across the globe. And just we finished the lecture of Dr. V. Geeta Lakshmi. And we are expecting more than 200 participants in this session also.
okay.
So very much glad to see you, sir.
Thanks. It's nice to meet you all virtually.
Thank
Happy
you very
to
much,
be a
sir.
part of this event.
Thank you very much, sir. We shall be waiting for a couple of minutes, sir, till our all participants will join.
Yeah.
Because we had a 10 minutes tea break. Just after finishing of Dr. V. Geeta Lakshmi lecture.
Okay.
Till you can do one thing, you can share, you can start the preparations of the screen share. I may request Dr. OS, if you're there, kindly make our respected speaker enabled for screen share.
I can share from my side, right? I can share the.
Yes, you can share. We'll make you enable, sir. You can share.
Yes, sir. You can share now, sir.
Yeah. I think now it should be visible.
Yeah, it's visible now.
Okay.
Much time, we shall be starting our session. And I welcome all the participants and a very good evening to all of you once again. Today, we are pleased and honored to have with us Dr. Ramaraj AP, who is working as an associate scientist at ISAT Hyderabad. Our respected speaker will be deliberating upon the topic that's climate risk management and innovation systems for dryland agriculture in particular. So I would request Dr. Latif, our course director, to formally introduce our respected speaker to our participants and formally invite him. Dr. Latif, please.
Once again, good evening to all of you. So our next speaker is Dr. A.P. Ramaraj. He is an agrometeorologist and he completed his PhD from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Coimbatore. After that, he did his postdoc from International Center for Tropical Agriculture, ISAT, that's at Colombia. And he's specialized in climate downscaling, both dynamic as well as statistical downscaling. And he is expert in crop simulation modeling, having 5 years of postdoctoral experience in climate variability and change assessment. He is also having the provision of contextual climate information services. Presently, he is associate scientist under the theme System Analysis for Climate Smart Agriculture and Innovation Systems for Dryland. His work mostly concentrates on South Asian and Sub-Saharan African regions. So, on behalf of participants and from organizing committee, I welcome Dr. A.P. Ramaraj. Please, sir, you start your presentation.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Latif, for such a wonderful introduction. So, yeah, to go about with the presentation, I would like to, I'm really enjoyed the title actually. It is so relevant. It says climate risk assessment and its management through agrometeorological approaches. I think I should say this as an evergreen topic. And still we have a lot of gaps, and every year we are understanding like how much gap we have and how much we have to address back.
We're
And
having a guru at ISAT, Dr. Keswarao.
okay,
So we are.
yeah,
He was our guru in agrometeorology. He expired.
yeah, he's a guru for almost most of the agrometeorologists presently, and unfortunately we lost him recently. Yeah,
He's jolly funny person.
yeah.
You start, please, sir.
So yeah. So what I would like to discuss today is the climate risk has two components we could segregate. One is climate risks due to variability in the climate, and another one climate risks that farmers face due to climate change. So my idea here is like we have all the projects that ICRISAT handles is for the semi-arid tropics. We stand for it. For the ICRISAT, the name itself stands for the semi-arid tropics, where it is almost dry, arid conditions. So out of that, there are two different projects we have currently working on, and I would like to discuss on those aspects. Those two projects I'll be presenting here, so that it brings up a lot of discussion, and I think it will be inspiring for the younger generation to put those innovations into it. Yeah. So I would like to open the PowerPoint, the presentation with this slide. And there is a WMO vision document, and the first few lines of it reads this way: like the WMO and says that by 2030, there should be a world where all the nations are more resilient, and into the socioeconomic consequences of economic extreme weather events, climate, water, and other environmental events. And also it advocates climate, enhancing the climate information services and its delivery would be a key in achieving this. So, okay. So why climate risk matters? Why WMO, UNDP, UNEP, UNFCCC, everyone is looking into this climate risk. On one side of the PowerPoint, you could see a picture where we could see devastating effects of no rainfall at all, or it's a condition where we have below normal or a high anomaly rainfall situation, and whereas the other side you could see floods. So I think every inch of it affects us. It affects all walks of the life, and not only agriculture. It affects everyone, and in particular agriculture. As if agriculture gets affected, it affects the food security, and it affects the nutrition security too. And we could, in recent days, I would like to. I think most of us would be introduced to this word, climate security. So the international forum nowadays discusses about the climate security, where people are becoming refugees of climate. I think this is not something happening somewhere else. I think it's happening near us. So even in my own state, I could see if a particular region is rain-fed and it is poor in performance of agriculture, obviously the next option is to move out for a job. And I think there are areas where there are no people and no agriculture has been abandoned. And so it is creating climate refugees. So climate security is the one that I think next we will be looking into. So why climate risk matters? Yeah, it matters in every walk of our life. And also these are the 17 sustainable development goals of UN. So the first to discuss about no poverty, zero hunger, and the 13th SDG discuss about climate action. So almost a few of these SDGs out of the 17 either directly or indirectly discusses about the importance of climate risk management. So what is the risk? What sort of definitions we can fit into it? So a risk is nothing but hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. Let it be a risk due to variability, or let it be a risk due to climate change. So I think three things are so major. One is how vulnerable they are, how vulnerable they are, and how exposed, how the system is sensitive and exposed to different hazards. And the other side, the capacity, how the adaptive capacity of the particular group or the system, that decides what volume of risk is there and how it affects. So here's just an equation, and here it clearly explains that from shocks, immediate climate shocks, to that of the long-term effects like climate change and sea level rise. So all these risks we have to account, and have been accounted in most of the protocols, agreements, and international programs. So WMO defines climate risk management as a systemic and coordinated process in which climate information is used to reduce the risks associated with climate variability and change. And also on the other side, also it advocates to take advantages of the opportunities to improve the risks. So this is a picture from a GEF, which profiles different parts of the world where the climate risks are more and how it could be ameliorated. So here the picture explains that of Burkina Faso and India. So in India, we could see what are all the major hazards internationally that has been listed. So it's extreme temperatures, extreme precipitation and flooding, dry spells, longer dry spells, variability, and when it comes to climate change, it is changes in the rainfall and temperature. So also the National Institute for Disaster Management, NICH, there is a profile, risk profile for India it has created. It's 68% of the country is prone to drought in various degrees. Almost 60% of the country is prone to drought for every year. And flood, one of the most flood-prone countries in the world. We are one of the most flood-prone countries in the world, with 1/8 country facing floods annually, 1/8 of the total. So yeah, so tropical cyclones. India, as we know, India has the longest coastal line of 7,516 kilometers, and it is, and we alone account for 10% of the worldwide tropical cyclones. And heat wave became a every year phenomenon. And of course, landslides, thunderstorms, cold waves, hail, and everything we are profiling. But what particularly affects us? What exactly affects the crops, agriculture, and how it impacts? And this is a very old picture, but it is, as we say, it is a classic picture. And I really like this picture, which explains. It's courtesy from Dr. Sulakshana Gadgil. It clearly explains how departure in our Indian summer monsoon rainfall impacts the GDP. So every year, the GDP impact is decided from agriculture, the GDP from agriculture, the impact is decided by the monsoon rainfall, how it varies. So up to within 10% that we couldn't see much deleterious effects. But if the monsoon rainfall is deficient by 10%, yes, it is affecting our GDP to 2 to 5%, approximately 2 to 5% it affects the GDP.
Hello, sorry sir for interruption, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please come close to the mic? The voice is not clear, sir.
Okay, maybe I'll remove this.
Please, sir, please.
Hello?
It's now clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we say if there is a reduction in rainfall, obviously it impacts the GDP. But when we see to the same tune, if it increases, if it is positive, the anomaly is positive, Will it increases the GDP to some extent? That is, but it is not to the level how it is. So we're taking opportunities. The concentration should be more put on the lower side of the impacts. So what ICRISAT does with this? So ICRISAT, by its name, it stands for the semi-arid tropics in the world. Mostly ICRISAT works on the South Asian region and the Sub-Saharan African region. And also ICRISAT, I think this is well known. ICRISAT specializes on the dryland crops, dryland rainfed crops, mostly the three legumes, chickpea, pigeon pea, and groundnut, and the new to cereals, sorghum, pearl millet, and finger millet. And finger millet is our latest addition into it. So we take a lot of strategic and tactical programs, that is cross-cutting themes that deals with a lot of climate risk activities. And why the semi-arid tropics? Why it is more important? So it covers almost 6.5 million square kilometers of the land area, and it cross-cuts around 55 countries, comprising of 2 billion people, out of which 644 million are the poorest of the poor. So that's the region where ICRISAT is working. So these are the highlighted areas are the semi-arid tropics, and also the area where ICRISAT's various offices are situated. So this is just to give an overview of how different trait selection, drought-resistant crop selections has been done, and this is one of the kind of structure that we have in ICRISAT. I think that this is a LeasyScan sort of sophisticated high throughput system are very few, and this LeasyScan is something which captures the blue color cells behind are loaded on a weighing machine. So every 10 minutes it sends how much is the weight of it. Almost it's like our lazy meter. So at every 10 minutes level, we'll get what is the change, and this top pane will be rolling over again and again in a day, and it captures the 3D image of the crop. So this is a high throughput phenotyping system where how the leaf is emerging, how it's expanding, how its expansion rate is something. Still there are algorithms to develop, and we'll get a huge volume of data. The data is massive. So I think we just ICRISAT is pioneering in this area. And the second picture is the rhino shelter facility we have. Almost they are situated one near the another. So where a lot of drought and climate experiments are taken up. And still it is going successfully, but unfortunately this year because of COVID, we don't have much experiments over there. Comparatively less. Okay, finally, so when we talk about climate risk, what farmers are actually, we are under the agreement that climate information, provision of climate information is going to help us to ameliorate this impact. But how? What a farmer looks for is how the season will be, how the season is going to be, how will be its onset, how much the quantum of rainfall will be get, and what crop should he select for a particular type of season. If it is going to be a below normal or if it's going to be an El Niño season, what crop should I select? And when should I sow? When I'll get a sowing rain, and how much area should I allocate? And what sort of, should I go for a crop that requires a lot of inputs, or should I go for a crop that doesn't need much input? Is it worthy to spend on the particular season? So all these things are there in a farmer's mind before he decides. So if any decisions, any strategic decisions at this stage is taken without climate information, that might end up in a lot of losses, financial and crop losses to the farmer. So to cater this need, ICRISAT devised an intelligent system called we call it ISAT, Intelligent Agriculture System Advisory Tool. So here the main agenda is it's a participatory system. It has been designed and co-designed by the farmers. So where the messages that agro advisories or the climate information messages goes at the village level. So we have piloted a few villages. So I would like to express these tips. So data analytics. So we have a sophisticated data analytics system and a high performance computing system with us that does a lot of from pre-season decisions to in-season decisions. There are a number of thresholds we have. So when we have to, based on the crop water requirement, what crop should we suggest for a forthcoming season? And if it changes, what should be our contingencies? And if a particular crop is selected and the sowing is getting delayed, what should we do? So all sort of thresholds and those algorithms, those data analytics was our first basic layer. From there, a sophisticated decision tree. And this uses a lot of machine intelligence where threshold for each crop and each stage has been defined. So that the decision tree takes those data. It considers historical, present, current data and forecast data, and it runs through the decision trees to root out what is the possible situation now and how or what message should be drafted. And that message it tailors for a particular location, for a particular village, and all this is automatized. So ISAT is almost an automatic system, but it is I should say it's semi-automatized, because only a part where just we have to click a button to send a message, or if you would like to edit it, we have an option. So rest all is done automatic, and n number of locations can be immediately fitted into it. It's an open system. So then it automatically disseminates to the mobile numbers of the registered farmers. So this is overall idea, like what ISAT is doing. And I would like to go in depth, like how this has evolved, what sort of steps we put into its development. It's actually a participatory designing. We conducted a series of focus group discussions and a series of surveys to understand the different needs of farmers. Even within a district, different village and the farmers' needs are different. So based on that survey, even the messages and how they want and when they want has been designed by the farmers, and from there, we try to identify the decision drivers. Basically what here we tried is how a farmer is deciding about a crop or about a particular event, what decision he makes and what pushes him to make such a decision. So that we try to imitate artificially with this artificial intelligence and algorithms. So then it categorize and analyze the drivers and triggers for possible trends, analogous trends and patterns. Then it takes to the decision tree where for a particular type of situation, it picks a particular message. From there it is disseminated. And also we have an evaluation part, and every year we conduct a mid-season and end-of-season surveys to get feedback from the farmers, how the forecast based advices went, whether it is working for them or not. And when it comes to analytics, here it is, we initially targeted what's the rainfall probability, let it be Kharif, annual or Rabi, based on the system over the applied locations. We have categorized it, and what is the normal amount of rainfall we could get, and how it varies between El Nino and La Nino phases. Here in this discussion box plot, it's so clear during El Nino events during the southwest monsoon season. There is a good considerable reduction in the rainfall, and we could see this. And the La Nina years, though the variability is too high, the median rainfall is a bit higher than compared to neutral and El Nino years. So it's almost a bit inverse in case of La Nina, in case of northeast monsoon. or post-monsoon season. So along with this analytics, at the background, it runs the crop simulation model. So we run the absent crop simulation model to capture the effects of different soil types that's spread among the study locations, and how farmer will. So we just try to mimic the farmers' practices here, different plant population densities and different planting times, and we also try to different rainfall situations from the historical data. And here it shows how the peanut yield varied during it's a long-term trend, and this is during El Nino years how it varied, and during La Nina years and neutral years how it varied. Almost it followed the trend of rainfall. So not only these analytics, these are something to just introduce, and in the background it dynamically runs a lot of analytics to bring to this decision tree. So here we have two decision trees. One decision tree is for seasonal climate decision, that is, we call it pre-season decision mapping, and another one is in-season decision mapping. So this is a decision tree for pre-season decisions. So here, for example, if for Anantapur, if it is the normal rainfall is around 350 mm, and probability of getting that is just 0.44. So from there, it is a base and static value for the algorithm. From there, it moves to the long-term forecast that is given by IMD. If it is a above normal season or if it is a below normal season, it categorizes based on the forecast, and then it takes the indicators, and we fed the model with SOI indices from Bureau of Meteorology Australia and NOAA. So it considers two of those SOI indices, and then it describes a particular season as El Nino or La Nina year. So accordingly, if the particular year is El Nino and also IMD forecast is above normal, and then it picks a particular message. Yes, we can go for a, it advises the farmer over Anantapur for a particular village, groundnut with a medium duration PGNP as intercrop with 5:1 ratio. If it is going to, if you want to have a cotton and paddy can be done under well conditions. So this is one optimistic scenario. When we come to a pessimistic scenario, if a below normal rainfall is forecasted by the IMD and it happens to be an El Nino year, then it is it picks a particular message like limited groundnut with a high proportion of drought tolerant crops. So accordingly, it gives the farmer an idea how to choose the crop actually, and what proportion. It also gives the crop choices and area allocation, how we can segregate the areas according to the anticipated season. And this is just a snapshot of the message. So yeah, here it reads like average rainfall during these years tend to be less than 250 mm, which is inadequate for most crops. So there is a very high chance, 75%, and actually this all has derived from the historical data analytics for getting a dry spell of 4 weeks or longer. So consider planting a mix of crops. So this is what pre-monsoon advisories will go in this way in the farmer's native language. And here is a decision tree for in-season decision making. Once the season has started, once the monsoon onset is done, so then the immediate decision the farmer has to make is sowing. So when to sow. For this, the recipe for deciding those decision is that is mapped with the observed rainfall, forecasted rainfall, and the outlook. So in this case, observed rainfall for the steady regions of Andhra, we have a very good network of rain gauges. So we route it, and it's online. It updates every day. So it is routed from there, and the 5-day forecast and the 4 weeks outlook is routed from IMD. So from this, again it goes to the decision tree. So how it is, how the present week is, how the past week is, week number 23 and 24. So how much rainfall is normal for the particular week, and for what it happened actually. if it is less than 10 mm or more than 10 mm. And what is the next week forecast? It says a forecast of more than a so mm of rainfall or less than it. And then the third one to the formula is whether the extended range indicates us the forthcoming 4 weeks or 2 weeks is going to be below normal or above normal. So it works out this formula, and it picks we have a message database, and for every week we have a set of messages, and this goes for the entire crop season from Kharif to Rabi. So from there it picks all these messages. So this is here a sample message, how it automatically picks a particular message suitable for the particular week for a particular village. So some areas received rain last week with more rain forecasted for the next 2 weeks. So we are advising farmers to complete land preparation and be prepared for early planting. So this is an example of this message. So in the database, you will have messages for a number of different seasons, like how event will behave, like how La Nina event will behave like. So what sort of in-season dry spells or whatever events we'll be expecting, and how we should follow the contingency over there. And this is just the web view of the ISAT tool, and this messaging is started in 2016, and almost for 4 continuous years it is working well. And this is something mostly, except this year, we visit the farmers' villages, or else we'll call all the farmers to ISAT, and we'll brush up the forecast and what sort of decisions could be made this time for the particular season. So this is some of the newspapers getting sold on that. Yeah. So what is the impact? So we have messaging them all throughout the season. But what is the impact? So whatever the efforts went into the research on this, so if there is an impact, really it is fruitful. So we just kept a few villages as control and few villages as treatment villages, and we recorded their yield, their sowing time, whether the sowing time which we advised and sowing window we advised has been followed or not, and how it impacted their yield. So it is clear the control yields are comparatively lesser than the treatment villages, and overall 16% improvement is we could see with this. Overall, we could see a 16% and more difference when it comes to who followed the climate information, who followed the climate advisories. And this is just not only the yield, and we also see how farmer feels about this over years, how the farmer feels about climate information that we provide and how it helps. So really we checked here how better the decision making of the farmer, how his cognition is supporting, how we are supporting his decision making, and also what sort of decision he could take confidently based on the information provided. So over the years, we could see a lot of improvement and confidence with the farmers. And yeah, this is successfully running for a 4th consecutive year now, and it is funded by CCAF, that is Climate Change, Agriculture and Food Security. So what next? So the next step to this is, and this is like first step towards reaching the farmers with for tactical climate information needs. So what next? So the next thing is based on the success of ISAT. Now ISAT have got 3 grants under Monsoon Mission. So we run 3 projects under the Monsoon Mission. So one of it solely concentrates on bringing up a next generation climate information system. So when I say the word next gen, so what it means? So I couldn't put many things here. So I don't want to stuff the slide here. So in present day conditions, we already, I know ISAT has been developed plantix. I think most of the agriculturists might be aware of it. So where it acts as a crowdsourcing platform for us. So it decides, it says us where a particular pest is happening, and when it is, where it is moving and how it is spreading. On the other way, so remote sensing aspects, we could gauge what a particular, when a particular crop is sown and where it is sown. So all these facilities are available with us. And so why can't we integrate this all with some machine learning algorithm? So that's the idea for the next gen. So this has 4 layers. This is a simple representation of it. It has 4 different layers, database layers. So it continuously has the historical data, current data, forecast, and the extended range data. So it has all those data sets in a database, and it is dynamic. This database is a dynamic database. And the analytics. So this is where the machine learning skills and the artificial intelligence has been used. So based on a particular threshold and criteria, if we select a particular scenario, if we give a particular scenario, the artificial intelligence algorithms automatically pushes a particular set of thresholds, like how it is going to be for the particular region and a particular season. So from there, it goes to visualization on spatial and other scales. From there, it automatically maps you the decision. So it also maps, tells the stakeholder. In this case, it may be an agrometeorologist who is about to message to a farmer. So it says how reliable the forecast is also. So it's like, that's why we call it as a next gen. So it has a, so this is just, I don't want to confuse much with this. And this is one of that algorithm setup we are preparing now. So while onboarding a farmer, so the next trial is from village level to farmer level. So how we can tailor, because if we go at the develop districts and blocks, the usability is comparatively less. When it comes to from blocks to village level, really it works well. The confidence of the farmers really increases. But the next step to reach them much more in deep is to give a farmer specific advice that is more actionable, tailored, and more contextual. So for this, while onboarding, we would like to take the GPS coordinates of the particular farmer's farm, their crop rotation practices. It is like a 10-point questionnaire we will be taking we'll be taking from the farmers. From that, the rest of the algorithm takes care of. So this is what we are working on now. It's almost half done, 50 to 60% done. Soon, maybe within few months, we'll be rolling it out in our pilot villages, with the hope that we'll expand this to the wider region, maybe entire India. Maybe we would like to touch on the Damus then. So here we use a bit of artificial intelligence and machine learning in deciding what crop has been grown over there and when it is sown, what's the age of the crop. So what is the stress situation there, whether it is having any nutrition stress, or all this will be captured spatially, and then it will be brought into the decision algorithms. So because ISAT is the one which gave us some confidence, great confidence that farmers are changing the attitude of farmers is really will take a lot of time, and it took really, but yeah, at last it built a lot of confidence. So from there, if we move to this level, I think it is really will be touching base with a lot of farmer issues, and it will help support it. And this is one of the, and the Megdut app is the one developed by ISAT in our team. And obviously, I think most of agrometeorologists will be knowing all this, because it is just routing all the agro-advisories, site-specific agro-advisories from around the country to one platform, this Megdut. And yeah. So this is like when we come to climate risk management, as I said, there are two things we have to manage. One is the strategic decision management and one on tactical. So until now we see few strategical and tactical information on how variability could be managed. And from now we'll be discussing on how climate change, how we have reacted, or how we plan with the risk management for a longer term issue like climate change. So this is just to brush up few of the points. What are the risks climate change poses? It causes a lot of rainfall variability and seasonality. We could see in most of the seasons, we could see a seasonal shift in rainfall and occurrence of droughts and the uncertainty associated with it. So changes in peak precipitation intensity. So even when we talk about precipitation intensity, just a week before Telangana, Hyderabad got choked because of 180 mm of rainfall, and these events aren't much frequent before. But nowadays, we could in last 5 years we could see 2 to 3 such events we could witness, and same way wildfires and like storms and everything. So what will be the long-term changes and in average conditions? So as we all know, IPCC says that drier locations will become more drier and the wetter locations might become better, and there will be more salt water intrusion. So all these things as a wholesome complex problem climate change puts to us, and like how we are managing it, how we are about to manage it. So this is a project that we handle that has been sponsored by NABARD. It is an AFCC project. So what we have done here is it is done over Telangana, how to approach a climate change risk, how we can approach a climate change risk. So it is a long-term risk. So how should we adapt to it? How we should consider the vulnerable part. So here we tried to construct a climate exposure index with all these parameters. So all these parameters has been assessed for points at mandal level. So when we come until now, we have seen the vulnerability assessments and these assessments at the level of districts. Now we have gone one step ahead to understand the vulnerability at the level of mandals. So there we studied each and every mandals of Telangana, and these parameters has been extracted from the baseline climate and also the future climate. So how we selected the future scenarios. So of course, climate change projections are inherently uncertain. So every one of us are aware of it, but how can we select a particular scenario, and how can we give a adaptation package or mitigation package for it? So for that, we used a different approach where we used 26 different climate models, which projected 26 different future climate scenarios. And this is a customized scatter plot. And really, I like this plot because it explains how a particular model is positioning itself when it comes to agriculture impacts. So here, the line over 100 says there is no change, but above and below this says there is a change. So here we have a median scenario, and here we'll have a hot, wet, hot, dry, cool, wet, and cool, dry scenario. So all these 26 model projections has been categorized into 4 different groups. So the one which says change in precipitation, and the other axis says change in temperature. So if there is no greater change in temperature and there is good increase in the percentage of rainfall, we call it as a cool wet scenario. So the temperatures are not so high and the rainfall is getting improved. So it's an optimistic scenario. In those scenarios, there are chances we might take good advantages of over certain locations. And in contrast, there are models which predicts a high increase in temperature and also that decrease in rainfall. So in this case, this is a very pessimistic scenario where there is the temperature issue is also there and we don't get rainfall. So we selected 4 different models which represents 4 different scenarios, the future climate scenarios. So from there, these are the models which we have selected for the particular study. So from there, how it is giving a how it is projecting the maximum temperature and how it is projecting the minimum temperature. So yeah, we could clearly see the jump from base in near term and mid-century. In mid-century, it clearly shows a jump in both maximum and minimum temperature. And for Telangana, it is predicted that 2.5 degrees centigrade increase will Telangana will witness in the mid-century in maximum temperature, and 3.2 degrees centigrade for minimum temperature. Like, what would be its spatial spread? So when we want to package the adaptation, so it is not a one solution fits all. So it has to go with individual locations. It should be site specific, at least mandal specific in this case. So here it shows how the temperature variations were in those different mandals. And this is how in future in different scenarios, how the rainfall it is showing in hot wet and cool wet scenarios and cool rain, hot dry scenarios. The spatial spread also clearly indicates the same of rainfall. So based on this, so when we work out all those indices which affects the crop production, and we categorize those locations into different criteria as based on these indices, we derived the vulnerable climate exposure indices. From that, we went on to deriving the vulnerability index. So from that, it shows like in baseline, what are all the mandals which are already highly vulnerable. So we could see these red areas are more vulnerable than compared to the rest. And in future hard dry conditions, also almost the same locations, like the earlier erstwhile Mahbubnagar district, and now it is Panathwati Nagar Karnool. So it has been divided into 3. So it clearly says the drier locations are going to be more drier and it is getting more vulnerable. So this just says how many mandals were in very low vulnerable category during the baseline moved to medium, high, and very high vulnerable categories in 3 different districts that we piloted. So future climate clearly gives us an indication that the most spatial extent is going to face the brunt of climate change. So how can we assess it? So this is one part where we look into the climate aspects of it. But when we, apart from the sensitivity of the system and exposure of it, when we look into the carrying capacity or the capacity of the farmers and for the farming community, so where it has to be, how we have to tailor these adaptation packages. So these are the indicators we have used. So this is a 6-parameter indicator where it collects about its financial capital, its natural resource capital, and its societal capital, and all that. So from there, we categorized, and also we considered the farm laborers, which are most vulnerable to the climate change and its impacts. So here we categorized the farmers and based on their land holdings and also their level of vulnerability. And here it shows the large farmers have a better index with the lesser vulnerability, and the farm laborers and small and medium farmers are on the verge where they'll get affected most because of climate change. And so in the present year, they've been what are all the we designed 16 different intervention packages. These are the adaptation packages that has been designed, and this project has been not in collaboration with agriculture universities in Andhra, and it also have with central institutes like EPTRI, and it's a project between 4 different institutes. So together, we provisioned 16 different interventions. That those interventions comprises of different agronomic measures, like what crop to choose and what sort of farming system approach the particular farmer has to follow, and what sort of climate smart actions, like where he should be irrigation smart, nutrition smart are together. So likewise, and also what sort of soil conservation measures and here, like what sort of value addition enterprise options you can have. So from agronomic to enterprise level, the different adaptation packages and their combinations has been provisioned, and the choice has been given to farmers. And if a farmer belongs to a particular category, if he is under a very high vulnerable category, and he will be selecting out of the options which suits him. So accordingly, 3,000 farmers has been selected from 15 villages, and there have been all the 16 different packages, like if a particular farmer opts for a poultry, if a particular farmer opts for a livestock system. So those sort of farming, and those if it is a crop-based adaptation, it has been a package has been chosen, will be giving him the improved seeds and the improved practices, and we capacitate them in those areas. If a particular farmer choose for a livestock-based system, we'll be providing the livestock to them. So likewise, we selected 3 different clusters, 15 we compressed in 15 villages, and 3,000 farmers has been selected. So until now, under which 2,000 plus farmers were small and marginal farmers, and we also inclusive of gender, where we 30 to 50% of the beneficiaries were women farmers. So and we are clear that these are the farmers who are most vulnerable, because they almost without access to any irrigation facilities. It's purely rain fed. So all the underprivileged group has been considered here. So in this year, just before COVID, almost these beneficiaries, we reached almost 1,000 beneficiaries, and the rest is in progress post COVID. So this is how we handled the risks of climate change, and how it is impacting the farmer. So the following years will be like evaluation of how these packages went work with them, and how their soil health improved, and how their financial health improved. So all that. So I would like to say these are the 2 small examples of like how a particular climate risk problem can be approached, and how we approached, and how we could see and taste the success of it. So to conclude, in future, where we have to be more farmer specific. I think the more farmer specific and actionable information is what we'll be targeting on the next. As I said, the next gen agro advisory should move to that level. And yeah, of course, when we looked into it, all that, there should be a finer scale seasonal forecast, where farmers are much worried about the forthcoming season. So if season forecasts are more reliable and in finer scale, it really helps a lot. And inclusion of, I think nowadays it is, we are moving ahead with this. So using a lot of IoT sensors to immediately track and map the data sets, and we'll capture the data set from satellite rainfall. And already it is happening over a few places, but yeah, that should become a norm in future. So, and the policy makers should also consider the uncertainties associated with the future climate and the future change. So, yeah, and finally, when we look into in the ground level, we need to enhance the capacity of farmers and also their support agents. So this should be bundled together, and the capacity building really improves a lot of understanding to the farmer. Not only the farmer gets the forecast, also he understands the forecast has some amount of uncertainty, some amount of probability. So his decisions will be so clear. It helps him to make better decisions. So yeah, with this I would like to conclude. And as it is a NIHEP sponsored training, I hope most of I expect most students will be attending this. I would encourage them to use all these different tools. You can play around with, if you have a data for a particular station, you can play around with these tools to understand what is the climate risk we pose in our particular location. So we can use the simple tools from CRIDA like Weather Talk, from our climate X and this StarDex indices, and this is a wonderful indices. But it gives more than 52 different extreme event indices. So it clearly gives us how a particular set of extreme event is carried over in a longer run, and how it expresses. And like if we want to from simple point level tool to a spatial tool. I encourage the younger generation of agrometeorologists to use a lot of these tools. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity provided.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Ramraj, for the wonderful information you have shared with the participants, with us. And if there are some, I think in one question.
Okay.
You can see in question and answer section box yourself.
Okay.
Biotic is considered in CRM, I think, which Arvind Tope from Akola is asking.
Any
Dr. Latif,
biotic
I think this is the single question.
Yeah, biotic risks were considered in the climate risk management routine. When it comes to, when I talk about the climate variability aspects, in the messaging system that we give by ISAT, we have the thumb rules. Whatever thumb rules we have has been fed into it. So it captures the pest and disease impact, and also to update a few information like the plantings, the app which has been developed by ISAT in collaboration with Pete. It's now used to track the fall armyworm, like where it is moving and what is its dispersion and what is the area of influence and where it spreads. So similar sort of crowdsourcing. It's like the data is crowdsourced. So everyone who uses the particular app uses a data point, like what pest is over there and everything. So such sort of combinations are there within this, and that has to be considered.
Okay, Dr. Ramraj, tell us about more that the app you have developed. One you have shown in your slides. Is it in the public domain? Can we use it, or it's on the research basis, which you have developed with the participatory approach with the farmers, like you shown in the early slides?
Yeah, at present it is it's not in it's not an open source version, but yeah, if maybe if we contact with the ISAT and if we would like to collaborate, I think we are open to expand it to the regions. But at present, it is a research output we have tested over years. And the next step of that Monsoon mission outputs will be, I think soon it will be open source. Once it comes out and once we complete the evaluation of it, the next gen system will be open source. And we are expecting it to be open source.
Okay. You have piloted, I think, 4 villages based upon that.
It's around 12 villages. It's I just showcased 4 of it.
Okay, okay. So maybe in a future we shall be talking. We shall be writing to ISAT for a sort of collaboration in using this wonderful application that you have developed.
Sure.
So congratulations for that.
Yeah, it's really encouraging because if people from different places will bring in different knowledge, and because the climate is so diverse. So it really challenging when we devise an algorithm for a particular location, and when the same algorithm has been needed for locations like Maharashtra, that investigation itself is really interesting and to understand the specificities of particular location. So we really encourage it, and also we host a lot of undergraduate, postgraduate, and doctoral students who have an innovative idea. And also I welcome some of the students are really interested and they have a good idea. We really support them. And yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chat also.
Yes.
There is one question in chat by Dr. Viresh Chauhan. How many data set is required to check the vulnerability of rainfall? How many years data set is required?
Yeah, of course, minimum 30 years.
Okay.
As we say.
Okay.
Can I stop the screen sharing or?
You can stop it.
You can stop it. There's no issue. Thank you for the wonderful talk this evening. And if there are no questions from the panelists, from the participants, I must thank you first of all. And before we will end the session, I request all the participants to kindly open up the cameras for a group photograph. This is just for our official record, sir. Always, I request you for a photograph.
Yes, sir. We are ready. Open all cameras.
Okay. All the participants.
Lecture.
Always, I think most of the panelists, participants have opened up the cameras. You can go for the photograph if it's okay for you.
Yes, sir. We're already on it. 1 second. Company.
PUBG also
Voice is coming. Kindly mute your voices, please. Kindly mute your voices just to open cameras and mute your voices.
Is it done, Uwais?
Okay, Uwais, are we done?
Only one. Okay, sir, we're done.
Okay, so I thank firstly once again Dr. Ramraj AP for having us in the evening session and for having some wonderful information sharing with us. So I thank you, sir, once again, and have a nice time ahead. Dr. Lateef.
Thank you, Dr. Ramaraj. Thank you for having us. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot for this wonderful opportunity.
We look forward for a collaboration.
Yeah, we'll be looking. We'll be looking.
Yeah. Sure. I'll be looking for your mails.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining
us. For
us.
the wonderful lecture. Thank you. So nice of you.
Thank you.
Okay, right. So this is information for all the participants tomorrow. We'll be having tomorrow lecture from Dr. K.G. Ramesh, who is the former Director General, Indian Meteorological Department, and lecture is scheduled tomorrow at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Professor Dr. K.G. Ramesh, who is the former Director General, Indian Meteorological Department, will be speaking on the topic that's national systems for managing weather risks in agriculture. This is one of the important lectures that we are having tomorrow. So I request to all the participants kindly join us tomorrow sharp at 6 p.m. So we will end the session, I think, and wish you all the best and nice time ahead. Thank you very much.
Good night, all of you. Good night.
Okay, Wes, shall we end the session?
So shall I end the meet, sir?
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye. Bye-bye.